It's me versus the Shield 3-on-1. This is the most pushed three guys since like Bobby Lashley. They've pushed and protected all three guys, and they're like, "You're going over," and I was like, "Okay, that's what you want." And then they stress and they grab me and they stress.
But you gotta make Roman look really, really strong.
Sorry, Vince, but it's time to move on. Roman is not the guy. It's time to pick somebody else. WWE needs to put the women on one roster and the tag teams on another roster. See, they need to put the tag teams on one roster because the tag divisions on both rosters are just shit shows and they're uninteresting. I don't even want to watch them. I mean, there's some good tag teams, but there's just not enough like good ones, I feel like. So they all need to be on one roster. So maybe stuff can be more interesting for the tag teams. And it's just not enough tag teams. Well, not enough good tag teams, but and the women are doing great. There are a lot of good women's wrestlers, but the women on each roster, there's just not enough to work with. I feel like I've already seen every women's match ever, like every possible combination. That's just what I feel. I feel like I've seen a lot, and I feel like they just all need to be put on one roster. They still have the women's pay-per-view, the Evolution thing. They still have the Royal Rumble. They still have the Elimination Chamber, and they still have their Money in the Bank match. They have their Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, and Money in the Bank, and their own pay-per-view. So it's still the Women's Revolution going on, but they're just all on one roster. So there's like more women to work with. Every pay-per-view cannot be dual branded. It must not be dual branded, and there needs to be only single brand pay-per-views. The only pay-per-views that aren't single branded are the main four, and this is because it gives more superstars more opportunities on pay-per-view. Like, more superstars get more showtime and stuff, and it's just not fair to leave out a bunch of wrestlers on a bunch of pay-per-views. So there's more opportunities because everyone can't be on WWE pay-per-views all the time, but if you make there be single branded pay-per-views, then people will get time on pay-per-views. There will be more wrestlers on more pay-per-views. It just makes more sense. Why did they bring back the dual branded pay-per-views? It's stupid. The only pay-per-views that should be dual branded are WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam. It's just that simple. Why don't they keep it like that? It was perfect before. Maybe to actually spice things up a little bit for once in a while, bring back the Raw and SmackDown Super Shows. Those were great. Like back in 2012 and 2011, I used to love those things as a little kid. Those were awesome. And every once in a while they can have SmackDown superstars on Raw, just like every once in a while, and they can have Raw superstars on SmackDown every once in a while. It's just too perfect. I don't know why WWE got rid of those. They were good. WWE needs to get rid of the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship and the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team titles. And this is because they're each on one brand. The women are on Raw and the tag teams are on SmackDown. And, so you can't have two women's titles and two tag titles. It just wouldn't make any sense, obviously. So, yeah, and also they need to change the look of the women's title and the look of the tag titles, because I'm sick of the women's title looking like the WWE Championship. And the same thing goes with the Universal title. They need to change the look of the Universal title, because it needs to look like an actual good championship that people are fighting for, not some ketchup piece of shit. WWE, if you're gonna make someone champion, make sure they actually defend at least once a month. I mean, WWE cannot have another champion like Brock Lesnar, where you'd only show up every once in a while. If you're gonna have a Universal Champion or a WWE Champion, they need to defend every pay-per-view. They just should. They have to. There's no point in not doing it. Like, what? You see in every pay-per-view there's a U.S. title match, an Intercontinental Championship match, a tag team match, a women's match, all those for all the titles, except for one of the main titles, mostly Universal Championship because of Brock Lesnar. And I mean, at least the WWE Championship was defended on SmackDown, but on Raw, the Universal Championship wasn't. Like, what? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, Roman is finally champion. I mean, I don't want him to be champion, but it's better than having someone who won't defend the goddamn title. I mean, if someone is going to be champion, they need to defend the championship. And I'm finally glad that the rivalry with Roman and Brock they dragged on for so goddamn long is over. I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. I never want to see that again. Not even if it's like for another 5 years, I still don't want to see it again. And the champion always has to defend, no matter what championship you have, even if it's the Intercontinental or the United States, or the Women's Championship, or the tag titles, not just the big main titles. All of them need to be defended once per month. WWE needs to listen to the fans and stop shoving people down our throat like Roman Reigns, and stop trying to put people over that are not good. And only by doing this is if you put half of the NXT creative team onto the Raw creative team and SmackDown creative team. So you still have some of the creative team from Raw and some of the creative team for SmackDown, but half of each brand are fired, and both of the halves from the NXT creative team are put onto the Raw and SmackDown creative teams. If that makes any sense, if you get what I'm trying to say. Because the only way WWE will listen to the fans is if some of the NXT creative team is working on the main roster. Like, because NXT is doing really good. I mean, I haven't really watched it that much, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, it's better than the main roster. And it's just kind of sad, because shouldn't the main roster be better than NXT? Not in the world of WWE, it's not. Raw and SmackDown need to both be 2.5 hours long. Not 2 hours long, 2.5. So it's just enough time to give people the spotlight that they deserve, but not enough time to tire the fans out. And it's perfect, because 3 hours, I cannot sit through 3 hours of Raw, I'm sorry. But at least with SmackDown, you can sit through the 2 hours. And if you cut Raw down to 2.5 hours and you boost SmackDown to 2.5 hours, it just makes everything perfect and everything's equalized. Now, it's not like if they break up the New Day, WWE's going to have a significant change in ratings. I'm not saying that. But the New Day is very hot right now. And they've always been hot, but you've got to admit, after almost 4 years, it's kind of, there's not much left to do with them, you know? You've done everything with them. The New Day will go down as one of the best tag teams of all time, but I just think it's time to break them up. You need to break them up. You honestly do. In November, it'll be the 4-year anniversary of the New Day forming, and I think that's around the time you need to break them up. I think you need to have a segment where they celebrate 4 years of New Day, and then Big E needs to be the next big heel, or he needs to be one of the biggest heels in WWE, and he needs to turn on the New Day. And then, you know, I don't know what Xavier Woods would do. Maybe Xavier Woods would have a good one-on-one career. He'd have a good singles career. Maybe he wouldn't, but Kofi Kingston would obviously be fine. But Xavier Woods would be kind of a gamble, because you never know. You never know if Xavier Woods will have a good singles career, but I feel like Big E needs to be a monster heel, and he needs to become the WWE champion. And I know The Rock was WWE champion, but he's only half black, and damn it, I think it's time that we have a fully black WWE champion, and it's only right. And I feel like it's just fair, and it's a good thing to do, because after all this time, the only real black WWE champion was The Rock, and he was only half black. And I feel like Big E is the right person to make the first fully African American WWE champion. And last but not least, they need to turn Roman Reigns heel. I think Roman Reigns is very talented, but just not on the mic. But I think he is a very talented performer who could be this badass heel. And he'd be one of the biggest heels in WWE. If you can't make him the face, if you can't make him the good guy, you gotta make him the bad guy. Because the exact same thing went down with The Rock, where it was Rocky Maivia and everyone freaking hated him. And if they just turn Roman Reigns heel, then he could be a trash talker. I mean, don't put him on the mic too much, but whenever he speaks, maybe he could be a trash talker. You know, that's what they did with The Rock, and The Rock was loved. He was a great heel, and then they were able to turn him face. But this time, no one hated him. That could happen with Roman Reigns. They could turn him heel, and after a long monster heel run, they could turn him face again, and they won't hate him this time. You know? And turn Dean Ambrose heel too. Dean Ambrose definitely needs to be a heel again. He hasn't been a heel in a while, and he's best as a heel. Sure, he's an alright babyface, but he's best as a heel. And everyone knows that Roman and Dean are best as a heel. They're best as heels. And Seth Rollins is good as both. I don't know why I brought up Seth Rollins, but, you know, we could have another good... In 2014, we had one of the best rivalry of the year was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins in 2014. And if they could do that again in maybe like 2018 or 2019, if they make Dean turn heel, we could have another Dean versus Seth rivalry, except Dean is the heel and Seth is the babyface. And mix it up a little bit, you know? See how it works. I think it'd be great. I think it could definitely be... That rivalry could bring out, like, the match of the year, definitely. It definitely could. And, yeah, those were ways that WWE could, make their product better. And honestly, WWE needs to listen to most of these suggestions. Because if they don't, WWE will be gone in the next 10 years. Maybe even 5. WWE is failing. And they're failing fast. The ratings have been going down for a while. They were at an all-time low this year. And the Raw in Boston, that's near where I live. That's near to my home city. And it was the lowest rating of all time. It was the lowest Raw rating of all time. The worst Raw ever was in Boston. And it was very recent. It was this summer, too. And that's not good. The whole show they were chanting Celtics. I couldn't even watch the show. It's a good thing I didn't go there, because I'm very close to Boston. But, it's not good. WWE had their worst Raw this year. That just goes to show that WWE, if they keep up what they're doing, they will be gone in the next 5 to 10 years. They need to change. Stuff needs to change. And WrestleMania season is always good, but after WrestleMania, nothing really gets interesting. I mean, there's a few interesting feuds going on, but it's mostly on SmackDown right now. SmackDown's the good show right now. I kind of also noticed that thing. It was Raw. No, it was SmackDown that was good, then Raw, and now it's SmackDown again. Is it going to be Raw? Is Raw going to be better next year? Who knows, but all I know is that both shows need to be good, and WWE will die. It's going to die. As much as I hate to admit it, WWE is going to die if they keep up what they're doing. If they don't improve their program, WWE will be gone. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, so please like this video. Please leave a comment. Tap the bell for to be notified for every new video I make, and please subscribe.
But you gotta make a Roman look really, really strong.